الله أكبر والعزة لله. فرع سعسع فرع سعسع صديق. الله أكبر الله أكبر.
A private plane has taken off from Damascus airport and flew to east. Has Assad left the country? And Assad probably fled for Russia. 3 kilometers from the Syrian presidential palace. Assad's soldiers changed their uniforms for civilian clothes. A bit of Berlin, 1945. 2024 in Damascus. So everybody know that everything is lost. There will be no resistance for the rebels even in Damascus. Rebels entered Palmyra and took control of a large warehouse of missile and artillery weapons of the Syrian army. Syrian government forces begin withdrawing from T4 base, the largest military base east of Palmyra in the Homs countryside. During the Syrian civil war, Palmyra became infamous for its repeated captures and destruction. The ancient city, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, was seized by ISIS in 2015 and again in 2016. The group used Palmyra's iconic Roman-era ruins as a stage for executions and propaganda while deliberately destroying priceless monuments, including the Temple of Bel, the Arch of Triumph, and several funerary towers as part of their campaign against cultural heritage. First prisons in the Damascus countryside have been freed. Prisoners all over Syria, which in some cases have been incarcerated for more than 40 years, are set free, but the worst revelation will come soon. The most infamous prison of Sednaya in Damascus, at the feet of Assad's palace, will be freed, and then the world will learn that the worst forms of evilness sometimes wear a suit. Syrian rebels have taken full control of the Quneitra province. Assad regime forces have packed their belongings and are leaving Quneitra on foot. In just 10 days, Bashar al-Assad's regime has suffered a dramatic collapse in Syria due to a major offensive by rebel forces, primarily led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. This surprise attack has reversed nearly a decade of government control in key areas, including Aleppo and parts of Hama province. Turkey reportedly wants peace in Syria and is not encroaching on anyone's land, Erdogan says. After meeting with the foreign ministers of Iran and Turkey, Lavrov has reportedly already called the rebels in Syria the legitimate opposition and expressed his willingness to negotiate with them. This is politics. It depends on the arguments and the situation. Russia and Ukraine, the arguments can change, and so can the current situation. Russia's unprovoked aggression and its efforts to bring destabilization to as many parts of the world as possible remain a fact. President Trump about Syria. This is not our war. Opposition fighters in Syria, in an unprecedented move, have totally taken over numerous cities in a highly coordinated offensive and are now on the outskirts of Damascus, obviously preparing to make a very big move toward taking out Assad. Russia, because they are so tied up in Ukraine, and with the loss there of over 600,000 soldiers, seems incapable of stopping this literal march through Syria, a country they have protected for years. This is where former President Obama refused to honor his commitment of protecting the red line in the sand, and all hell broke out, with Russia stepping in. But now they are, like possibly Assad himself, being forced out, and it may actually be the best thing that can happen to them. There was never much of a benefit in Syria for Russia, other than to make Obama look really stupid. In any event, Syria is a mess, but is not our friend, and the United States should have nothing to do with it. This is not our fight. Let it play out. Do not get involved. SAA forces withdrawing from their positions and trying to cross into Iraq. Up to 2,000 soldiers have reportedly already fled. In As-Suwaida, dozens of SAA soldiers and officers surrendered and defected to the rebel military operations department. If we're to believe another long read by Nastya Kashevarova about Syria, the Russian MOD is allegedly again gathering the last surviving Wagner fighters to send them there. It's laughable to read such cope. Wagner has been torn apart. Who could they realistically send now? And even if they managed to send someone, what could they possibly achieve? Ash Sher, In Horns province, where the oil fields that Wagner recaptured in 2017 have been surrendered, ours have all left. They have blown everything up. The plant where the Wagner PMC base was located, between Horns and Palmyra, not far from the T4 base, is being prepared for evacuation. The military base of the Russian Ministry of Defense and the Syrians, T4, is already being evacuated. Now Russia is faced with the fact that having destroyed the Wagner PMC, into which so much effort and money was invested, we do not have the fighting force that could stop the rapid advance of the militants in Syria. According to my information, the curators of the Syrian African directions from the Ministry of Defense are urgently gathering a group of those who have already fought and know every grain of sand in Syria. They are ready to even start from the conditions of the fighters themselves, if only to rectify the situation in Syria. And now we see the situation in Syria, both on the ground, at the front, and on the internet. The Americans, Turks, and militants are in together. A prominent Russian war correspondent, Starsky Eddy, analyzing the loss of 10 years of our presence, fallen Russian soldiers, billions of rubles spent, and thousands of tons of ammunition, suggests the creation of a Latakia People's Republic, clearly already resigning themselves to the idea of being unable to hold on to anything else. The collapse of Assad's army in Syria is very similar to, and even surpasses, what we witnessed in Afghanistan during the Taliban offensive and the expulsion of the Americans. The army is falling apart, fleeing, abandoning everything, and in this case, the key question is not Assad's fate, nor the various coordination and reconciliation centers, nor even the flower-laying ceremonies or Unarmia concerts on yet another holiday. What truly matters is what will remain for us. 10 years of our presence, fallen Russian soldiers, billions of rubles spent, and thousands of tons of ammunition. These must somehow, in some way, be compensated. It's clear that Assad himself has done everything possible to bring his country to collapse and his army to disgrace. However, those who have commanded and are commanding in this direction on our behalf must understand their responsibility for everything I just listed. Syria, which during the special military operation became a quiet haven and a place where failing military leaders could be tucked away, struck back according to all the rules of war. And it struck where we were vulnerable, a vulnerability that exists only when your enemy prepares for war while you, not only unprepared, don't even want to think about it.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.